Hello guys, I'm Tiffany and this is my new segment, Friendship Table Talk. Today we're going to be discussing friendships surrounding the military. These are my guests.
Lynette,
Ty,
Joy.
So our first question we're going to be talking about is, has rank of the husbands ever kept you from becoming friends with another wife? Anyone want to take that one?
well, I'll start off with that one. I think of us four ladies, I know my husband is the only enlisted service member of us all. And I wouldn't say that rank has kept me per se from pursuing friendships, but I feel the opposite. I feel sometimes that spouses of officer service members sometimes may feel a little, separation between enlisted families and their families. So I have definitely sensed that in certain circles at previous duty stations, as well as when I was active service. I would definitely see the same thing for whatever reasons that may be. So not necessarily on my behalf, but I have sensed it, that it has played a role in the past.
Okay, so that hasn't been my experience, but I can see how it could be. I think a lot of wives look at, their husbands versus their relationships with people. So they'll look at the husbands and say, oh, well, if I befriend this person whose rank is, lower than my husband's, right, what kind of a recourse or, something could happen with my husband's career.
Sure.
So, I mean, I've never done it because obviously, I
Right.
never even asked, like I don't care, but I can see how it happens.
As for me, that's the one thing I've always strived not to do, because you face it and you see it all the time, where the first question out of another spouse's mouth is, what does your husband do? Or even, what is your husband's rank? And I'm like, that doesn't matter, because my husband is the one in the military, not me. Yeah, I'm his wife, but my friendship with another spouse is not contingent on their husband's rank. I don't care if my husband's an officer. I don't care if your husband's an E1. If we have a connection, we have a connection. And I've always strived, like I've been in situations where I've totally 100% sat back, where I was the only officer's wife amongst enlisted wives. They never knew that, and when they found out, they were totally surprised, because they had an idea, or they faced officer wives where the wife wore the husband's rank, and they felt uncomfortable. They felt degraded at sometimes, which I thought was totally unfair. So I strived, 21 years of service now, or 25 years of service, 21 years of marriage, I avoid that altogether. I don't care what your husband does. I don't care what his rank is. If we have a connection, we have a connection.
Okay, good. Okay, but for the people watching who may be saying, that hasn't been my experience. Like, I have met many officer wives who have, asked me what my husband's rank was before they would befriend me. If we could just think about that for a moment and think, like, why do you think some wives might do that? Like, what could happen, if you befriended someone whose husband was a little bit lower ranking? Like, what would be the downfall of that? I can't think of anything, but
there is no downfall in my opinion.
I can think about a downfall, because, say for instance, I befriend a military spouse, and her husband is the Garrison Commander, right? And I'm married to an E1. So she and I would become friends, and we would divulge information that could possibly be personal information. Mm-hmm. And then she would learn information, or I would learn information about her husband that would probably be personal to a certain degree, and that could possibly erode the chain of command and lots of things, because her husband is the Garrison Commander and my husband is an E1. So we're going to get personal, we're going to get up close, and I'm going to learn things that could possibly deteriorate his command position.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
I can see that. Do you think with that, you because of his rank, and of your husband, obviously your husband's rank, that you all have a fine line that you won't cross?
You would absolutely have to maintain that. If he's the Garrison Commander, or anybody, and if he's, say for instance, or either her husband is the commander, and I befriend this spouse, and we really have become really good friends. I'm gonna learn things about the commander that I wouldn't necessarily know about him if I wasn't his spouse's friend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very fine line that you would have to maintain if you're gonna become friends with your husband's chain of command.
Awesome. Okay. Well,
Now,
thank
if
you
you're
for
a
that
shady-
insight.
If you're a shady person, you would take that information, obviously try to be negative with it.
Absolutely.
But if it's a true friendship, I don't think that should matter.
But
But
in
upon
some
first
cases,
meeting,
you don't know if they're
upon-
shady.
Right.
Yeah, and
And
some,
they could be trying to befriend you
For
to
that
get
purpose.
under,
yeah, absolutely.
It's a fine line.
Or to get favors,
Yeah.
you know, so it's a very fine line. And initially, you know, we meet people, we have the best intentions, but sometimes down the road, you feel like, wow, that wasn't a good friend choice,
right.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Okay. Well, thanks, Joy.
Can I say this though?
Yeah,
What, my connection with you three were our, well, for Ty and Joy were our girls, our ages, the ages. And my connection with you was through our daughters, but through gymnastics.
Right.
So, and I didn't, did I ever ask you what y'all's husband's rank was?
You asked me before.
No.
No.
Not me.
You asked me before.
That's surprising, but okay. He said I did.
Okay, so next question. Has it been difficult for you to forge friendships with moving so often? So,
Absolutely.
how? How so?
Just even like for us, the connection that we have. So although when I met you guys, I was definitely longing for a friend, because in the past maybe 2 or 3 PCSs, I kind of walled off myself to where I didn't want to meet any new people, because I felt like I would get to know them, I would grow to love them, and then it's time to go. So for me, I just felt like maybe I shouldn't reach out anymore. I would just, do my time per se at the location, and then go.
Okay, so that was actually another question. Did you find yourself, kind of closing off and not wanting to invest the time to meet other people because you felt like you knew it was going to end and you were going to have to move on? So has anyone else felt like, you know what, I'm not even going to invest my time in trying to,
Absolutely. It's, at our last duty station, that's exactly how I was. But at the same time, I was so busy with other things. I was like, do I really want to extend myself more to gain friendships that are going to, in my mind, be fleeting anyway, because I'm going to be leaving very soon. So
Right.
I really didn't put myself out there to meet people or to engage very much.
Okay.
So
But
what was the
it
difference?
changed when I got here, though. I think where you are has a lot to do with it as well. Certain places you have a lot more activities and things to engage in. If you're closer to driving distance to get to your family, I think all of that plays a role. But at certain places, it's a little bit more enclosed, and you have no choice but to either be a hermit and isolate yourself, or reach out and try to forge connections with people.
When I met you, were you looking for a friend at that time?
Not necessarily, but when I got here, I was like, okay, I want this to be a different experience than what I did at the last duty station, because I couldn't say that I was at my happiest, just not really, just doing my own thing, going home every so often. It made it kind of boring and depressing to an extent. So I wanted to be a little bit different when I came here. I wouldn't say that I was like, oh, I got to go out and find me some friends, but I was definitely more open to it than in the past.
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, I'm a little bit more introverted. And so I would always have like a longing to find friends, but never had like the will to just walk up to someone and just be like, hey, would you like to hang out? And I appreciate Joy for this, because once I signed Camille up for Girl Scouts, because she was a troop leader, one day at the school, she was just like, hey, you want to meet up for coffee? And I was thinking in my head like, yes!
That is so funny. I've been going through Girl Scouts.
Really?
That's funny.
So thank you.
We met Lynette through Girl Scouts too.
Was it? Because I don't remember. I was trying to
No.
remember how we met.
Actually, I forgot. I met you on the boat ride. Remember?
That's right. And I came to you.
You did.
And I
You
remember
did.
meeting you. And I passed Tiffany weeks. But I'm like, I just didn't feel like I could approach. I didn't feel like
She
I
did
could
look
reach
very
out and
mean.
approach her. So I mean, I'm like, oh my goodness.
She
I walk
was.
past her every Tuesday. I'm like, I want to meet her, but I just could not bring myself to say anything. And then we were in the commissary one day, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stand at this door until she's ready to go. And she was taking forever, you know. So I was like, I have to go. No. You were at checkout, so I was like, I have to go. I said, I'll just meet her, you know, later. And then we went to a craft night, and you were there, and that's when I'm like, okay, we're in a confined space.
Right.
I'm going to speak to her tonight, you know. And it's been, and even like with Ty, I remember we were in the classroom because our daughters were in the same grade, same teacher, and I'm like, I want to meet her, but I didn't feel like I could approach you, you know. And Joy, I felt like I could approach her, so I went to her on the boat, and I just introduced myself to her. And we had a connection because of our daughters. I found out that your daughter was the one that I helped one day at school.
Yes, you did tell me.
Yeah.
And she came home, Mom, someone help me fix my hair for picture day. I was like, oh, that was so nice.
Okay, so tying into that, what do you say to the younger spouses who may just be getting married? They've never had an experience with, you know, this lifestyle, and, you know, they're struggling to kind of know, you know, how do you meet friends, you know, in this relationship? Like, do I just walk up to people? I'm talking about the introverted people, the people who, you know, they don't find it that easy to, you know, just walk up to someone. What are some things that they can join? What are some things they can do to kind of easily, you know,
Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts, obviously.
And Boy Scouts too.
Yeah. Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Well, younger, they may not even have children of that age.
That's true. That's true.
So, I mean, at every post, I mean, there are numerous of opportunities to meet others that are in the same boat as you. The family readiness groups, those are awesome for meeting others. Just find interests get in touch with interests that you like and look for those certain opportunities across the base or around the surrounding areas. Quite sure there'll be a lot of things across different ones.
Yeah, so if you work out, go to the gym. Don't just do your workout and leave. You know, maybe if you see someone often, one day you may just go up to them and say hello, and maybe you'll, you know, get a relationship out of that. I know for Lynette, you go to PWOC. Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit about that, what that is?
Well, PWOC is a Christian organization. The actual acronym stands for Protestant Women of Christ?
The Chapel.
Is it? Or the Chapel? Protestant Women of the Chapel. And it's a weekly meeting where Christian women, you know, get together and they have different studies. You don't have to be Christian.
Right.
But they get together for different studies. Like, you know, you have a parenting study, a Daniel study, you know, so forth. And you just pick what you want to learn. Like, I just completed parenting. And in that group, you can meet other people that have the same interests as you or struggling in the area, the same area as you, and you bounce off each other.
Okay. So even if you don't have any children, you know, maybe volunteer. You know, you can be a volunteer at Girl Scouts or, you know, the hospital or anywhere. So try to get out there and volunteer.
PTO at the schools. Oh, even if you don't have any kids, so why would you be at the school? Right?
MWR has a lot of great programs as well.
ACS,
ACS, for sure.
Army Community Services.
Yeah, thank you for that. Because I know that the Army or the military in general loves its acronyms, and I don't always remember what they are. So if you guys, Okay, so the next question I have is, how does it feel when you find your people, you know, and you like, you know, you love these people, you come, you know, you grow to love them, and then your husband comes home or he calls you or he sends you an email and he goes, you know, we got orders, we're leaving. You know, what is your first thought, I would say, and how do you kind of process that?
It's always bittersweet. Like, you know, you may be ready to leave, but then you don't want to leave your friends and then your children, if you have them, they're leaving their friends, and you think about their readjustment to a new place and new area. So I'm always on the fence with it, but this time is going to be a little bit worse than previous because I've met friends now and I have those connections. So we'll see how it goes this time for me, but I'm sure it's going to be worse than in the past.
Yeah, I feel the same. So let's kind of look back a little bit, guys. How long do you think we've known each other? Like, I know you guys met before me, so about how long of a time frame do you think, you know, we've been close?
It's been a year?
That's not a change for us.
Not even a
About
year.
6 months.
I don't think even
Mm-mm.
yeah.
About 6 months.
Well, Ty, you 4th grade. We
Me, us all four
Oh,
together.
all together. Okay.
So about 6 months, and I
I
feel
think so.
like in the military lifestyle, you have to kind of accelerate friendships.
Right.
So you don't have time to waste. You don't have time to wait and say, oh, so like even now, I feel like if I had just gotten out there just a little bit sooner, you know, maybe I would have had a little bit more time. But I can say that we have done a lot of different things in that short amount of time, right? So we have definitely enjoyed ourselves, and I have orders. Do you have
I
orders?
don't have orders yet, no.
I have orders.
Joy has orders, so 2 of us will be leaving. And it's like you said, Ty, it's gonna be bittersweet.
Yeah, definitely.
It is
I hope-
bittersweet.
I hope that we keep in contact.
We
We
will.
have social media, so nowadays, if you're not in contact with your friends, there's no excuse other than you're busy. But still, I am a firm believer in you make time for what you want, even if it's just a hey text, you know,
Yeah.
how's life? You
And
know?
one thing I'll just put out there that we thought about or have thrown out there to keep in touch, no matter where we are, is an annual trip. You know, that each one of us will decide depending on the year. And so that'll be a fun way for us all to reconnect and see each other and hang out.
Yes, but let's not let that be the only connection.
It won't be.
No,
It won't
let's
be.
keep the group text going.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna go ahead and add you, Joy. You're
I
not
enjoy
friends
that
on
group text.
Facebook, but I will be adding you.
Mm.
I didn't feel the need to because, you know, we're here, we're right in the same community,
Yeah.
but I will be adding. And you too. I don't think we're friends on
I
Facebook.
don't
doesn't
have
do
any
social
social
media.
media.
Oh, okay.
I have no social media footprint.
Okay. Is there a reason for that?
Yes. Just due to what I do, my profession.
Okay. So do you think
I
that
just kind of
you
stay
could
away from that. But I'm gonna try to get something.
maybe, you know, change your name?
Maybe.
You know. All right. So another question I would say, how do you think civilian and military friendships are different? So, are they different?
They're
I
definitely
believe they
different.
are.
Okay.
The
So,
other military spouse can relate can relate to what you're going through, you know, especially like the hardest I consider is when your spouse deploys. You know, if there's another military spouse who's experienced that, she knows your pain, she knows your
Right.
struggle, that can assist you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and be there for you as you guys. And sometimes your friends' husbands deploy together, so you have each other, especially if it's a close, you know, relationship.
And you don't have to explain to her
Right.
like what you need.
Right.
They know exactly what you need. They know what you're going through.
yeah, I definitely,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I have definitely had that experience when Dennis is deployed 3 times, and there has always been someone who's been a military spouse to step up without asking, without prompting, and be there for me. So I can definitely understand the differences.
That having babies, you know, they have and different websites to create a meal train or whatever, you know, a meal train after having a baby, or a hospital stay where you have surgery or something. You know, the military spouses, because they know, you know, they jump on that train and take care of you for however long you set out for it to be.
And I don't think the civilian, you know, wives, it's not that they're not trying to understand. It's just, you know, unless you're in something, you don't know.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know. All right, let's look through my list here. I think I have a couple more questions. Does finding friends sometimes feel like dating to you?
What's dating?
She's been married for a lifetime.
I would say it is. I mean, because everybody you meet are not necessarily somebody that you're going to befriend, or you know, when I call somebody my friend, that's a level up.
Right.
I have
Yeah.
many people that I know
Yeah, that's
or
true.
can associate with, but I wouldn't necessarily put them up on that next step of being my friend.
Right.
So I would definitely say it's some very similar to dating. I mean, because there are certain qualities that you look for in a friend. You know, you want them to be dependable, somebody that you can trust. People that are, you know, relate to you in some fashion.
Is that energy?
Definitely.
Oh, I'm big on
Good
energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I
It's
would
definitely
say
like dating.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like dating for sure.
Miss Lynette.
I can agree.
Okay.
I just haven't dated in a long time.
when we were dating Chad.
Okay, so as far as the military lifestyle, can you say that there is a love-hate kind of relationship with it? And if there is a love-hate, or love-love, or hate-hate, why?
It's definitely a love-hate for me. It's so many things that I am grateful that the Army has provided for my family. But there's also probably just as many things that are undesirable for me. Like for the fact that I haven't been able to put roots down for almost 20 years.
Absolutely.
Like I envy people that have this house that they've raised their children in, and they have the little notches on the on the wall where the kids grew up in the house. And so I envy that. I hate the fact that my kids have to forge new friends every time we get to a new location. I hate that I have to leave my friends behind every single time, I find some. But again, the Army has allowed me to see places that many of my friends haven't had the opportunity to see. It's allowed me to meet so many different types of people that, again, some of my friends haven't had the opportunity. They've been in their same neighborhoods and communities for their whole entire lives. And I also think that the military has given me a multicultural type of perspective on how to deal with people, how to meet new people at the drop of a dime. So so I feel like it's definitely love-hate relationship for the military. But I think overall, for the good.
I think overall for me, it's for the good. I agree with a lot of things that you said. But as far as like my personality, I am, like I said, an introvert. Like once I get to know you, I come out of my shell a lot more. But having to, do that every single move for me is like excruciating. So it's, it's just put me out of my comfort zone, which can be good. You break new barriers and find new things out of your comfort zone. So I appreciate the military for that. Let's see, my little iPad has locked up.
I will add that it is a love-hate, but mine is more love than it is hate. It has gotten harder with the moves. It gets harder when you have children, and as the children grow older and start school, because of the reasons Joy mentioned earlier. But I love the idea of moving and going different places that I know like my friends have not done. And to go out of the country, to see Italy, to see Norway, places that I know I would have never gone, especially Norway. I never thought to go to Norway. Italy, maybe, but Norway, never. And actually, that was my favorite country. I loved it. Loved it. Missed it.
Yeah, not only go those places, but actually live
there
there.
and experience their culture and everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I only have one more question. And the question was, do you feel like you've met a military spouse and it has felt like fate?
I'm not sure about fate, but I feel like everything happens for a reason. Everybody that I meet, you take something from each person, especially that you connect with. And I have been fortunate enough to meet some great ladies here, and I definitely pull pieces of all of your personalities and traits and try to build upon them for myself. So I guess I would say yes, because fate means it's meant to happen, right? So yeah, I would say definitely so.
Okay.
Can we do this one thing before we go? Do you have cups? Can we all have a cup?
Sure.
Okay, let's do this one thing. So to kind of piggyback on what Ty just said, how we all take something from each other, I would like for us to do a small activity, and we're going to talk about what we're taking from our fellow friends here.
Okay.
Does it matter?
No, just any kind of cup.
So you need water?
No, come on. I'll use my coffee cup. This is all good.
Yeah.
Would you pass me mine?
Which one? Here?
Yes.
The Yeti. Okay. So, Ty, this is what I'm taking from you. I would like to take from you your sound judgment, your true friendship. You've been there for me in times where I felt like I couldn't call anybody else. So from you, I'm taking your true friendship and your sound judgment. So
Okay.
can you pour into my cup?
Sure.
Thank you. So Tiffany,
Hi.
Tiffany, this so I met Ty first, and then I met you, and I was just like, wow, I've met these awesome ladies, and I've learned so much from you guys. So from you, I want to take your wisdom from you.
Okay.
Well, take it with me. I don't want to take it completely from you. Absolutely. So Lynette, I've also learned so many things from you. And what I want to take from you is your resilience. Can you pour it in my cup? Thank you. Your turn, Ty.
Okay. Well, I want to take your infectious spirit. You're always so bubbly and outgoing and always has a positive mood.
Mm-hmm.
Usually.
Yeah.
Except when you threaten to cut me off. But I want to take those things from you. I really appreciate your friendship.
Awesome.
Thank you. And from Tiffany, I want to take your wisdom as well, and your ability.
I'm just so wise.
Your ability to be such a deep thinker and careful and articulate and calculating. So I really enjoy that about your personality. Thank you for your friendship. And from you, Lynette, I appreciate you as a friend and your ability to be assertive. I think that's a great trait that you have that I want to build upon.
Yes.
You're a great friend. You're dependable. Whenever anybody needs anything from you, you're there at the drop of a dime.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your friendship.
Your turn.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, your turn.
Okay. Let's see. So, Joy, what do I want to take from you?
I don't know.
I would say your attitude, as far as how she said you're bubbly. Like, I'm a little bit more mellow, a little bit more calm. But I think at certain times it's appropriate that I need to get a little bit more like you. So I'll take that. I'll take your a little bit of your personality, please. Thank you. Let's see. For you, let's see. What would I take from you? I would take your drive. Your drive to get it done.
Yes.
So please pour.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so Lynette, from you, I would take your thoughtfulness. I feel like you're always thoughtful, doing things for people.
Absolutely.
So please.
Thank you.
Love it.
My turn. So from you, Joy, I would take, again, I agree with your bubbly spirit, but I also see in you that even when you're tired, because you have to, you dig deep to get the energy that you need and determination that you need to make a meal for the family, to prepare, for your children to go to school. So, and that your determination, to dig deep, to push through your moments where you feel like you're weak.
No.
And I will also take away, your encouraging spirit, that you've been an encouragement, to me in my times where it's like I randomly I would just get a text from you or like an image of something just to encourage me.
Awesome.
So thank you. Ty. From you, Tiffany said drive, and I'm gonna say determination again, but drive and determination, because I look at you and the fact that you're in college right now, raising a daughter, and you're a wife, and you're driving, what, three hours or so to get to your school, and you're still pushing, although you haven't got where you said you want to be.
Right.
You've already accomplished a lot, and you have this determination about you, like, okay, I'm not gonna let life or fear, because that's what I face a lot, stop me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push forward.
Thank
So
you.
pour into my cup.
Sure.
And Tiffany, from you, I'm taking you, and I'm not like this. When you hear, if you receive a question, if someone asks you a question or whatever, you will not answer quickly. You take the time to think about it. I don't know if you research it or what. You take the time to think about your answer, and I've always appreciated that about you. Didn't understand it because I'm like, why am I not hearing from her? But I get it now. It's something I have to learn, so I take that from you. But I need that. Pour into my cup.
All right, so with that is the end of our table talk. Thank you guys so much for being here. I always like to say you could be anywhere, but you chose to show up. For me, friendships, that's like my love language. When you show up, I know that we're friends. So thank you guys. I will see you soon, right?
Right.
Maybe we might Skype and do another one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.